What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna be talking... I'm joking. It's 3:30 o'clock. I'm a little wound up right now. Is my recording? Oh, it is. We're good. I read another book, so I'm here to talk about it. Today we're talking about The Third Gilmore Girl by Kelly Bishop. That was a little bit of a tongue twister there. I would say that the first part's gonna be spoiler free and the second part's gonna be spoiler full like usual, but because it's like her own book, I wouldn't say a memoir because she's not dead, and I think memoir is for when people are dead. Autobiography, I guess, yeah. So I'm gonna be talking about her and her life story in this book, as well as giving my review about the book. I listened to it in audiobook format. 10 out of 10. I've previously talked about how I'm never listening to a romance book ever again through audiobook format. I'm only going to be listening to autobiographies or educational books because I can't stand the dramatization of certain characters through voice acting sometimes. So this is the first book I've picked up to listen to since I've made that decision. I read, was it last year or 2 years ago? I read I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. She auto-narrated that book and I felt so connected to the story, to her, to every single word on every page. It was such a pleasant experience and I'll never forget it. So I was happy to find out before I started reading this book that Kelly Bishop actually auto-narrated, is it auto-narration? No. She narrated her own autobiography, which was awesome because if you don't know, Kelly Bishop is the mom in Gilmore Girls, okay? That's all I knew her as prior to this book. And still, although the character that she plays in this TV show is quite brash and unloving and has a difficult relationship with Lorelai Gilmore, her daughter, there was something so warm about her to me personally. And that show in itself sits in a very special place in my heart, which I think is part of the reason why I wanted to listen to, Kelly Bishop's life story. Let me tell you something. I was not disappointed. She is such a witty and warm and colorful personality, and it was difficult to not smile throughout listening to this book, I'll be honest. She talks about her upbringing. She talks about, her family dynamic. She talks about her dad, her mom, her brother. I mean, you know what people talk about in their autobiographies. I'm not here to spell it out for you. I'm here to tell you I had a great freaking time. I think when I listened to I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy, I had a hard time rating the book almost because it's like, I don't want to feel like I'm rating this person or rating their experience through life, you know what I mean? I don't think I'm going to rate this book. I'm just going to say, hell yeah. It was so heartwarming. I don't have grandmothers that live near to me. I have two grandmothers. Two? Yeah, I have two grandmas. Neither of them live near me. We talk through text or we talk through voice memos or we talk through phone calls. So that voice of grandma and her life stories and her wittiness and her wisdom and her opinions and all that stuff, there is that constant voice missing in my life. So when I listened to this book, it was almost like getting lunch with my grandma, or I don't know, just having a really nice conversation with my grandma. Granted, I didn't talk about me or myself at all throughout this book. It was like a one-sided conversation, but it was so warm. I feel like me and Kelly Bishop were like this, you know what I mean? Her personality, her charm, her energy is just so beautiful. I don't know what else to say. I'm almost obsessed with her. I'm enthralled by her and her story and her life. She talks about how she wanted to be a ballerina dancer, and when she turned 8, she finally started being able to take lessons because her mom traded some work for, dance lessons, and her mom was a very constant figure in her life in regards to her early success. She talks about the big moments growing up from when she was little until, now. I think she's 80-something? How old is Kelly Bishop? She's 81. Also, I learned her name is not Kelly Bishop. Her name is Carol Bishop. She had to change it because when she was up for her first, was it Grammy? Oh my God, now I look like I don't retain information that I consume. When she was up for an award for the Broadway musical, A Chorus Line, that she was in, and she was spectacular in it. I literally had stopped the audiobook at certain parts at the end to watch her in A Chorus Line on YouTube. I was like, I need to see this. I need to see this because it was such a big part of her life. Anyway, she was up for an award, and there was another actress named Carol Bishop. So they were like, yo, we can't have two Carol Bishops, so like it's gonna have to be Kelly. And then she was like annoyed, but then she was like, okay. And then she adopted Kelly Bishop as her screen name. So that was cool. Anyway, she talks about dating, she talks about relationships with your parents, she talks about grief, she had this one husband for a long time that was a gambler, like a serious gambler, and like stole from her, lied to her, gambled all of her money away. And then at one point she was like, all right, I'm done. You're so annoying. I have no money left. Like, just listening to her experience through life in love, in friendship, in dance, in work, in arts. Like, she talked about her transition between dancing to acting. She talked about her relationship with Amy Sherman Palladino, whatever, who's the director and producer of Gilmore Girls, and how they are so important in each other's lives. Amy Sherman Palladino actually narrated the beginning welcoming part of, hey, you're about to listen to this book, pretty much. And it was so heartwarming to hear somebody talk so nicely about Kelly Bishop. Anyway, with autobiographies, with books that tell real life stories about people, it's hard for me to rate them because it's not so much a form of art. It's, this is my story and I'm putting it out there and my bleeding heart is on the table. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, it was a 3.5 out of 5. I'm not doing that. If it's just way too personal, it's way too tender. It filled a little piece in my heart and I feel so thankful to have listened to it and to have been almost, it feels like, a witness to Kelly Bishop's life. What a spectacular woman. I loved her voice narrating the whole book. Also, I found out she was a lifelong smoker, which I didn't know. And she never had kids, which I also didn't know. She was pregnant once, but she made a decision. And her whole discourse on that decision and what she felt at her core from when she was very little, that she was not meant to be a parent, was very refreshing. Also, A Chorus Line was a very pivotal musical for Broadway. I think it was in the 70s. It was pretty much, oh my gosh, I can't talk about the book without getting through and down and under its roots. I would suggest you read this book. Honestly, I would suggest you listen to this book. It was such a good story to digest. Loved it. I listened to it in one day. I had it on while I was busy all day. I listened to it on Libby, so library app. 10 out of 10 in my heart. Anyway, I'll be back on here when I finish Two Twisted Crowns by Lauren Gillig.